You worked your way through school with a goal, right? You crushed it. Congratulations. You became a doctor, dentist, attorney, executive, business owner, whatever your thing is. Okay. But now you feel stuck. And not because you failed, because you're successful, right? But because you're really not sure, you're kind of looking around, you're not really not sure what comes next. You've read the books, you've made the money, you've actually climbed the mountain that once back then seemed impossible. And now that you're at the top, there's this quiet voice in your head asking, is this really it? And today we're actually unpacking that using a classic book you probably know, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But this isn't about the how to get rich part. This is about how to apply it after you've already made it. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, a dentist that's on a mission to help you get to the point that work is optional. I have a free training guide, links below this video. All right. I want you now to think about your life before you had the success, before the degree, the business, the practice, the title, whatever. Think about that. I really want you to get clear of what you were like on a day-to-day basis. Got it? All right. Every time you woke up every morning, everything was about a clear mission, right? You got to get through school. You got to make those grades, and then you got to pass the boards or pass the bar or get the job or start the business or whatever it was. My point being was you always had direction. You had a purpose. You knew exactly why you were sacrificing your weekends, not going with your buddies and partying. You were studying late at night. You were actually putting your head down and grinding it out day after day, month after month. There was actually this. You actually had in your mind, there was actually a finish line, right? And every move you made got closer to that finish line. But here's where it all shifts, and where most of the high income earners that I deal with on a weekly basis, they go wrong. Once they become, quote, the thing, the doctor, the attorney, the successful business person, whatever, guess what happened? The goals we just talked about, you've been doing up until that point, the goals, they stop. Think about that. Think about where you are in your life. You're no longer chasing something very specific. When I went through high school and college, I was chasing, going through dental school, very specific, wanting to become a dentist. All right. So once you start to the point where you're no longer chasing something specific, so what do you do? What are you doing now? Every morning when you get up, what do? You go where? You go to work. You make money. You pay taxes. You buy a car, you buy a boat, you go on vacation. Here's the thing. It's the same thing over and over again. And then you start looking at what other successful people are doing. And really you go through your whole career, you just try to replicate that. But inside, you're just drifting along. You're no longer waking up for something greater. You're just waking up. And that is where burnout starts to creep in. Not because you're not doing well, because you're very successful, but because you're not taking that aim. You're not aiming anymore. Now, Napoleon Hill said this in the book. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is the definiteness of purpose. So he called it definite chief aim. It's the very first step to really starting to build wealth and more importantly, fulfillment. Definite chief aim. Most high income earners had that. We all had that at one point, that definite chief aim. You had that goal, right? You knew what you were after. But the moment you hit that milestone, the goal setting, it stops, right? And that's the trap. You start seeing success as the destination instead of as the launch pad to your next mission. You keep working, you're staying busy, but really deep down, there's really no aim. There's really no real aim. And unfortunately, when you have no aim, guess what happens to your energy? It just gets scattered. It's not focused. And that's when frustration, boredom, and even worse, burnout starts to take over. You don't need more hustle. You need a new mission. Now, what I want to do is I want to leave you with 3 action steps from the book, from Think and Grow Rich. Number one, and we'll put right here 3 steps. We've already discussed number one, create a new definite chief aim. Ask yourself, if money weren't the issue, what would I build? What would I do? Maybe you want to hit $20,000 a month of passive income so you can make work optional. Maybe you want to start a business that solves a big problem, which is what I've done with this YouTube channel and Debt Free Doctor blog alongside keeping my dental practice. Maybe you want to be in the best shape of your life or have the time freedom to actually enjoy your success. Whatever it is, I want you to write it down. I want you to write it down, not vaguely, be very specific. If it's the passive income to make work optional, I want a specific dollar amount. I want a timeline. And and probably the most important thing is you have to have a why. Why does this matter to you? And this becomes your new North Star. All right. Moving on to number 2. Once you have this definite chief aim, now you want to build a plan and you want to read it daily. Now, and I understand this is probably one of the weirdest but most powerful tactics from Hill's book. He says, write your goals down. I know you've heard that before, but he takes it a step further. Write your goals down, read it aloud every morning and at night. I know it sounds simple, maybe might even sound a little bit silly to you, but when you do this, you're actually rewiring your brain to focus, just like you trained your mind back in the day, back in school, when you're studying for boards or bar exams or whatever, you were singularly focused. And when you do it, when you write this down and you read it in the morning and in the evening, that's actually bringing that focus back. It actually starts to create alignment. It actually keeps the distractions out. And remember the mission, your new mission, front and center. And then number 3, and I would not be where I am today had I not taken this advice. You want to surround yourself. With, here's the important part, with a new network. Or actually in the book, he talks a lot about mastermind, which that's pretty much his word for network. Hill says that no one reaches success alone. And he's right. Really, your circle matters. And I've mentioned this on multiple videos before. For the first 12 years, I was only going to dental meetings. I was going to meetings with other dentists. That was my network. And the majority of them were only there just to get the continuing education hours. Of course, we want to go there. We want to become a better dentist and this and that. But we were actually there most of the time because we had to be there. And if you're around people that are only there just because they have to be there, what is that really going to do for you? How's that really going to help you grow? It's hard, right? So again, your circle matters. So I want you to ask yourself, who's in your circle? Who are you hanging out with? Who's in your corner right now? Are they helping you think bigger or just pretty much just keeping you where you are? This is extremely important because at this point in your life, you're really going to need people around you who are going to actually challenge you, who've actually done what you want to do next, and then push you towards that goal. The absolute cheat code to success is, again, figure out what you want, write it down, repeat it. But the cheat code to success is once you figure out what you want, if you want to make more money, if you want to get in better shape, if you want to travel more, if you want to retire early, if you want to learn how to do something, whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever it is. The cheat code to success is find the person or the people that are doing it and get around them. If you want to learn how to invest in real estate, we invest in mobile home parks and RV parks. Well, you know what I did? I found the people that were doing that. Instead of trying to learn it on my own and make all the mistakes, which I've made mistakes and lose a bunch of money, which I have lost a little bit of money, but I've made less mistakes and lost less money because I was around the people that were already doing it. That's it. And really, at this point in your life, time should be the most important thing because you're not a spring chicken anymore. So if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you really want to do something or accomplish it, just go to who's already doing it and learn from them or pay them. And instead of it taking you 18 to 24 months, it could take you maybe 4 months or less, because time is the most important thing. So you're going to need these people that once you go to them, they're going to challenge you. They're going to actually push you and make you accountable. So again, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling bored, or even worse, burned out, the solution isn't just to keep doing the same thing over and over again and working harder. It's to, remember, reconnect with the bigger purpose. And the book, even though it was written in the 30s, Think and Grow Rich is one of the most popular financial books out there. But it isn't just a book for just people chasing success. It's actually a guide, because remember, Napoleon Hill in the book, he went and at that time in the 30s, interviewed the absolute most successful people who back then in the 30s were millionaires, but those people today will be multi-billionaires. It was the Carnegies. It was people like that. It was people that had just grown, and he had just grown these huge businesses, and he wanted to know what made them tick. And he kept writing down all these things, and it was a trend. Just like if you were to interview the billionaires today, if you were to interview Musk and Buffett, Trump, Bezos, people like that, and you would say, tell me about your background. How did you build your businesses, companies, whatever? How'd you make your money? You would start to see these trends. And that's what he did. And once he started writing all these things down, he realized they were all kind of doing the same thing. So let me ask you this. Have you thought about a new mission? What do you really want at this point in your life? Do me a favor. I want you to drop in the comments below. And really, if you're really serious about building real financial freedom, I'm talking about freedom, making work optional, creating more time flexibility, and investing in assets that are actually going to buy back your time, I've got a bunch of resources below this video, and I'll show you exactly how I'm doing it, and hopefully how you can too, because your next chapter starts the moment you set a new goal. Looking forward to reading your comments.